Back on TYT Sports, another edition of Charles Barkley Says, and the internet blows the hell up. Jason and Francis here with you. So Bill Simmons' show, Any Given Wednesday, debuted on, Francis, what day?
I imagine it'd be Wednesday.
Smart. It's a good day if it's in the title.
Easy.
And there was positive reviews, negative reviews. I'm a fan of Bill Simmons, although my personal review of it was could accomplish the same thing in a 20,000-word article for the Ringer website, save for Ben Affleck's amazing, hilariously, possibly drunken rant with like 15 F-bombs. But when he sat down with Barkley in the beginning of that show, he quickly got into pushing Barkley's buttons on LeBron James because Barkley feels that LeBron James is never a top 5 player in the history of basketball. Take a look at the video here.
I'm here with NBA Hall of Famer Charles Barkley, someone who does not believe that LeBron is one of the 3 best players ever. You're laughing at me. Why?
I'm laughing at you because, in my opinion, he's one of the 10 greatest ever.
Right.
I got Michael 1, Oscar 2, Bill Russell.
Oscar 2?
Yeah. He got averaged a triple-double for the entire season.
Yeah, everyone took like 120 shots a game back then.
Well, y'all,
You would average a triple-double in a season.
Hey, LeBron had a triple-double, and y'all went crazy. He didn't average one for the whole season.
You would say y'all, like I'm lumped into all these people.
You millennials. I'll call y'all millennials.
I'm not. I'm up 46. How am I a millennial?
Y'all just make up names, too. There's no such thing as a millennial. I got Kareem and Wilt.
Right.
I got Kobe and Tim Duncan. And LeBron is right there with Magic, Bird, Jerry West, and Elgin Baylor.
All right. Well, he makes a good argument.
Yeah, so I wanted to just go a little bit on a tangent. First of all, to capitalize on what you said about the Bill Simmons show. Really quick, full disclosure, it's genius. Right, so you need to understand the genius of this. We've been doing this in the UK for decades. Graham Norton Show on Entertainment, The League of Their Own with James Corden.
Great name. Oh, that's where he came from?
Yeah, he came from that. That's what. Well, he was on acting on TV as well. Everyone loves James Corden now.
He crushes late night.
Yeah,
he crushes
it's because, right, what Bill Simmons' show now is about, right? Those 2 guests weren't brought on by mistake. Of course, they planned it, but they brought it on because they knew that they needed people to be attracted to go ahead and watch the show from what they're expecting to see now for the upcoming weeks, which is bold points, viral topics, viral rants. So what you do, you never even introduced the guy. You just went, doesn't believe LeBron James is there for 3, blah, 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 in the top 3. And Charles Barkley goes on because he knows he's going to get that out of him. He baits the question. It's genius from Bill Simmons. And that's why I think you're right with the fact that it can be put into an article. But the way we watch and absorb content now is that we want snippets of stuff that we can react to.
Right.
Charles Barkley is very good at that. And then this is what I was going to allude to with the UK thing is, which they'll put Helen Mirren next to Stormzy, who is an underground rapper, and they'll get them relating over something. So when you bring Ben Affleck in, who he's vocalized that he's a passionate sports fan from Boston. But when you get him in there on a rant of something that you don't expect of him, you're too busy seeing Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless, whatever else rant on it, it's refreshing, it's new. So when they do that,
it's authentic.
It is authentic, Jason. That's why that no matter what Bill Simmons does, whether or not he's not the best presenter, which I think he's not because he's more used to writing down his thoughts.
Got work to do.
He's gonna continue to do this. Don't be surprised if you get maybe Drake on with a LeBron or a Shaq on with a Kendrick Lamar, because you're gonna get people who's gonna talk about sports outside of that realm, and it's gonna work.
That's his goal. Is he wants to put celebrity next to athlete, put Brady next to Kanye West.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And again, the biggest thing is I think the Hollywood Reporter did a very objective review of the show, and he said you can't review truthfully a talk show on its debut episode because it's a talk show. That would be like trashing, That would be like trashing Trevor Noah after one day.
Everyone did.
Of the Daily Show because he's not Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
Well, he's got time. It's a talk show. We'll get there at some point. You would hope. But differences aside, when it comes to the argument of Barkley saying LeBron's not a top 5 player of all time, I just think this is an old school argument. Oscar Robertson did average a triple-double during the regular season, and it's a phenomenal feat. Although I don't think Oscar Robertson, given how much we've seen over the last 35 years, we can even go shorter than that, 20 years, would place him in the top 10. But you see the company that he shares with, that means Magic isn't a top 5 player, according to Barkley, which is very interesting because I think Magic's a top 5 player of all time. But the thing with LeBron that I get frustrated with, and anytime when I defend LeBron, of course I don't have the things I wrote down in front of me, which really stinks because I had all the numbers. There's a chance. LeBron's about 11,000 points shy of being the greatest all-time scorer in NBA history. And if he doesn't get to Kareem's mark, you can bet you he's passing Jordan. You can bet you he's going to touch Kobe. He's going to be in his own league with 30,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, and 10,000 assists. On top of the matter that when it comes to the playoff numbers, right? And you can't make the argument that it's because LeBron's always been there and because the East is weak when you realize that a lot of the other greatest of all time, Kobe was always in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. The West was strong, but he made deep runs. So, of course, there's more games played. But LeBron is like second, third, top 5 in assists. He's going to be top 5 in points. He might be number 1 in points, steals, every end of the floor. He's had, and this is what Bill Simmons says, statistically, the greatest first 13 years any player's had in the NBA. Therefore, barring any major injury, you got to think LeBron's going to finish in the top 5. And I think that if you don't like LeBron, you're never going to put him there. Yeah. And if you love him, you're going to try to compare him to Jordan. He's not going to be number 1. I've kind of been over this. Michael Jordan, end of discussion.
Yeah.
He's number 1. You can make an argument at some point if he wins one more title, number 2.
And that's the key point here, Jason, is he said you can make an argument, right? I wish someone would take this snippet, record it, play it in front of every single millennial that feels that they're entitled to a new position and put it in front of every single old sports analyst or old sports person.
I'm 46.
Yeah.
Or
Or put it in front of every person who feels like their views is skewed because they were entitled and they've seen all the different generations play. Comparisons are all about perspective. It's about how you envision someone to be so great and why. No, there's no right or wrong answer because you can always drag out other statistics that's going to overthrow someone else. The Ronaldo and Messi argument is so tiresome, almost as tiresome as the Pele and Maradona was in that generation. Or, and by the way, they were different generations apart, but they still found comparisons. Or Maradona and Messi. It's because everyone, until you should probably just go to someone who's now going to be able to have 100 years experience, who somehow remembers exactly how LeBron James has been playing every single game in comparison to Michael Jordan, in comparison to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, in comparison to everyone else, and get them to make up their mind, because every single generation is skewed by different thoughts. Mm-hmm. Charles Barkley watched a game where it was more physical, where there wasn't as many three-point shooters, and so he discards, like, do you think I've not seen a Steph Curry before? What about a Steph Curry with an elbow in the face? Like, the game's different. So you can only take the interpretation of what's been going on now. That's why every single time I'm asked, who's the best world footballer? And I get asked it so many times. Before Messi, I was saying Zidane. And Zidane didn't obtain as many accolades as Pele or Maradona, but I only watched tapes of those guys, and the game's changed since then. I watched what Zidane could do in his era, and now when I see Messi, there's no comparison to anyone that I've seen in comparison to Messi. Whether you hit me with more statistics about Ronaldo's goal per game ratio is simply obscene. But that doesn't put him ahead for me. And it doesn't mean everyone else who says Ronaldo's the best isn't right. It doesn't mean that anyone who says LeBron's top 5 isn't right. I think that you're right when you say Michael Jordan is in the conversation of every single aspect that makes someone great. Statistics, the way he influences team, championships. That's when you look at someone who's great. If you can just say, for instance, that Steph Curry's only going to be great because of his points that he scores or his three-pointers, then your argument, it still could be valid, but it might be overthrown with another argument. But there is no right answer. At the moment, everyone thinks the right answer is Michael Jordan. But add another 2 championships to LeBron James, it gets interesting. You add the argument again. So the fact is that Bill Simmons is very smart because he has this conversation because he's got his reasons. But you never see Bill Simmons really getting caught up in Charles Barkley's arguments because he knows that Charles Barkley's skewed based on his point of view.
And he's also, like, he's doing it in a way, he's just pushing his buttons. That's why I thought it was pretty funny when, and again, if you don't like Bill Simmons, you're going to hate the show, and that's fine. I'm not judging you for that. I like Bill Simmons, therefore I'm going to watch. But I just think it's hilarious when he pushes the button. He goes, Charles, you could have averaged a triple-double. That's funny. You know, they took 120 shots a game. That's funny. Like, he has a way of pushing buttons, which, by the way, again, as you can tell, he didn't even have to push buttons. Ben Affleck just went off.
Yeah. All you do is you liquor up Ben Affleck, or even if he was or not, or get him on a heated discussion, and you're going to get that. That video now was trending for like, it was the only thing that knocked it down was Brexit. It was like, all right, Ben, down you go.
Speaking of Brexit, real quick, credit to my friend Jeremy, who said he really wished LeBron not just opted out, but left Cleveland so we can get #LeBrexit.
And then what did he say again? He said, "Is England? Is
He's
the
like,
UK
maybe the UK will leave for 4 years and come back like LeBron, and I just kind of
Deliver a championship.
Deliver a championship like England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales wins the World Cup. You got yourself the decision 2.0.
Interesting.
Amazing. All right, Francis, they can comment below. Is LeBron a top 5 greatest player of all time? I guess to make the argument fair, if LeBron's career ended today, is LeBron a top 5 greatest player of all time? We don't know what's going to happen for the rest of his career. We don't know if his numbers drop off. They won't, but if they do. And all that good stuff at Francis_Maxwell on Twitter, at ChaseRumor91 on Twitter, at Francis Maxwell Host on Instagram, at ChaseRumor91 on Instagram. We'll see you there.